Hey guys, it's Mike G back here. We're gonna continue on with our extension series with Fred VanVleet. I did a previous video earlier, kind of like fumbling around with the YouTube settings and didn't really know how to like do thumbnails and I changed the format kind of a couple like episodes in, and I want to kind of reformat that and kind of have a uniform kind of format to have a playlist kind of where you can listen back to each guy and then you can listen to the summary at the end kind of. So all right, well let's get into it. So Fred VanVleet currently our lead guy, our kind of leader, our mental leader, our IQ leader, our kind of coach on the floor. He played 65 games, which is quite a bit, but I think he was injured for a number of those games and didn't really have the impact he did in the first half, in the second half, after he was injured. And I think the minutes were ridiculous amount of minutes. Like that's way too many minutes. It needs to be like 35 and lower at least. It can't be 37 minutes. It's crazy. I think if we look back to that season, like the run it back season, where we appropriately slot his minutes, I think is more appropriate. And I think it showed with his health. He was able to play a lot more games that season. But this season, we kind of rode the tires off him early because we needed to stay in the hunt for playoffs. So, okay, let's look at his volume 3 point shooting, which actually is very comparable to Steph Curry because Steph Curry shoots about 10 threes or 11 threes a game and hits about like 4.6, I think it is. So, and he hits it at like about closer to like 40%. But you can see those numbers are very comparable to Fred VanVleet's numbers, which I think makes him an excellent kind of shooting guard in that fashion. I think his twos have kind of steadily increased, obviously. Last season, I think he took a little bit more mid ranges, but his mid ranges kind of improved with his shot diet because I think when he was playing with Lowry, he was used more like as a shooting guard, strictly catch and shoot, kind of off the dribble, drive to the net, kind of look for an open passer kind of deal. His assists, yeah, like so. But now I think he's being asked to do a little bit more now that Lowry's left, because Lowry had a great mid-range game. Kind of, he could like drive and kind of create space with his body, push off a bit, a little, and kind of step back into a nice mid-range shot and hit it at a alright clip, a decent clip. Definitely in the big moments he would hit those kind of shots for us. So I think we're looking more for him to improve and obviously get that up a little bit better because his layup package was pathetic in his first couple seasons. And I think he's improved it quite a bit, but at the same time he's still lacking around the rim. And I think that needs to be definitely a key area of work that needs to be worked on. But I think with Fred VanVleet, we have an idea of like his range kind of starts just before the 3 point line and kind of extends closer to the half court line, where normal players' range would extend probably from like the mid range and then come out to just about the 3 point line. So it's like a different range. So you would get like his mid range shots are probably like three on the line, like three from the line more or less. But then like when he stands back, that's more of like a three ball for him. So that's interesting how all of that can actually like work out regarding his 2 pointers and his 3 pointers. So I still think he's highly effective, and that shows his ability to score is very up there. But I think now let's take a look at his assists because I don't think his rebounding is much to say. I think he definitely boxes out bigger people on the offensive end, and in the defensive end, he's kind of in the mix. but I think he likes to just steal the ball after the big guys kind of rebounded and brought the ball down. So I think that's more effective kind of like scenario. And I think that's why his blocks are kind of higher than even Gary Trent's because they have similar steals and deflections and stuff. But I think Fred VanVleet's blocks is higher because he's in the post taking the ball off the big when the big goes up for the dunk. So that's a really key aspect to his rebounding game, and that's in tandem with I think his blocks, kind of how that works out. But if we look at his assists have kind of been nice. I think this year he kind of took a step in that role, but didn't really do enough, in my opinion, to really be the solidified point guard. I think this season he's really going to need to show what he's got regarding that whole role and ability to distribute. He said that he's going to take less shots and try to facilitate more. And I think if he looks to do that, I think we can really look to have a great season from him. I think depending on who else is doing good on the team, maybe we see two All Stars this year. I don't think so though. Maybe the guard competition in the East is pretty tough. Not gonna lie. Another All Star came in with DeJounte Murray, so that'll be interesting. Let's take a look at his contract now for a quick second here. All right, so obviously in 2021 we re-signed him for 4 years, and the interesting how this contract actually worked out. We were looking to sign Giannis in the summer of 21, so we kind of wanted his cap hit to be lesser so we could sign someone. But we ended up just reing up OG, and we ended up keeping Gary Trent, which is both great options because obviously Giannis wasn't available. We looked at other options, and those we came out with those two options. I think those were the best options at the time. Decent. So I think what he did for us really worked, and then he's back up at that 21 mark this year, and I think this year is really crucial for him because he was offered, I think, an extension before the free agency kind of started. They started to talk about it, but because of the second extension cap rule, where you can only make 20% more than your first contract, I want to base the next part, like term and salary, on the fact that we understand his role. I think his role on this team going forward and into the future is to be the shooting guard slash point guard at times, where a backcourt of Barnes and Fred VanVleet would work really excellently, where Fred VanVleet can kind of command the pace and kind of tempo of the game and do the more important stuff at more important times and kind of defer to Scotty earlier in the games or when the score isn't as tight and start to build up that kind of point guard pedigree that Scotty's going to need if he wants to be a championship point guard at that position. I think Fred VanVleet has all the attributes that he needs to learn from, in a sense of Fred VanVleet learned from Lowry and knows all the stuff that Lowry knows and kind of can instill that kind of knowledge in return again, like Lowry did to VanVleet, but now VanVleet's giving it to Barnes. And I think that's going to take a couple years playing beside him, at least 2 or 3. So we're going to look probably in the end to lock him up on a similar deal to Kyle Lowry. But I want everyone to kind of take this in mind. There's a salary cap spike coming. So the 28 to 30 million I'm going to pencil in isn't the same 30 million that Lowry made like a couple years ago. This is a different 30 million because the cap has gone up. So we're going to have to look at that in comparison. So don't think of it as like that exact million, because if we want to translate it up, I think it would probably be Lowry would have made like 35 or something, and VanVleet I don't think is like a 35 guy. I think he's more around 28 to 30, and he's going to play primarily shooting guard, where the more important possessions and certain things he's going to take over for Scotty. But we want Scotty to start getting major reps at that point guard position quite a bit to really expand his vision and learn from Fred VanVleet. Like, help him read the defense and learn to where to make those passes are. I think Fred VanVleet's great on the IQ end and can really read the defense and kind of lay out different game plans for Scotty to show him how to really get guys going or kind of get in the game mentally. Like, I think Fred VanVleet's edge as an underdog can really rub off on Barnes. So he has that kind of like endless hunger, kind of mentorship we need for our newest kind of budding superstar in a sense. He has the personality, he kind of has it all, but we need him to kind of get him in the right game frame to kind of be that guy for us. And I think Fred VanVleet's the guy that kind of mentor him into that role where we need him to be, because I think Fred VanVleet's very, very high intellect, can really understand the game plan of what we're trying to do with him and kind of foresee that future plan for him and see and help him reinforce the thoughts from the coaches or Masai or whoever and kind of be that kind of backboard to kind of really bounce ideas off of and stuff. And I think that would be excellent just for what I think Fred VanVleet wants to do with his career, because I think they kind of both being off ball and kind of doing their own things at other times too. So it'll be interesting. Okay, so we'll look directly at his contract right now. So if he does what I think he does this year, so we're looking at probably more assists. So we're probably looking at 8 or 9 assists, and we're going to drop maybe a couple points, not too many, but like 18. So we're looking at 18, 9, and the rebounds will, I guess, yeah, so we'll go 18, whatever, 5, 6, and 9. And those numbers, I think, can get him a decent contract. I think he can get that 28 to 30 million. And if he shows that kind of being able to kind of control the ship, lead everyone in the right direction, show that he can help with the development, be a tandem with the coaches and everything like that, I think we lock him in for 4 years. If he turns this down, we lock him in for 4 years. He hits FA because the extension rule, and we re-sign him for 28 to 30 for 4 years, I think. 4 or 5 years. I think it's probably 4 if you look at it. So he'll be 29 in the first year, 30 in the second, 31 in the third, and 32 in the fourth. So I think that leaves him a little room to kind of get another contract. If he's really shown and we've won a championship, he can ask for more. But even if he gets a couple All-Stars or gets a defensive player team, I think he can still command that money later into his years if he shows the health. I think health is a really big key this year. He needs to show when we have proper depth and we have proper like minute allocation that he can stay healthy, playing the way he can and needs to play to be a winning piece for our team. We can't have what we didn't have in the playoffs where he was kind of hurt and Maxey was cooking him. That can't happen. That cannot happen in the playoffs. That should have happened, but we understand what was happening with him and everything. So we're going to need to really look at this year to kind of indicate whether he can really be that. You can't extend him through the season or something. Like, it's a bunch of like interesting rules. I read through the CBA. It's kind of here nor there. All right, so I'll see you guys later. Thanks for listening. Bye.